This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to the Flipping 50 show, where I address your top concerns and your challenges. I share with you what to eat, how to move, and how to change your thoughts so you can have the energy and vitality that you want in the second and better half. So today on the show, I have with me Dexter Yeats, who has become my fast friend in about 5 minutes because she's also from the United States and she's in Cozumel, Mexico over Thanksgiving. So actually I shared Thanksgiving dinner with her, come to think of it. So we are good friends.
Family almost.
Yes. Dexter, thanks so much for doing the show. Spur of the moment. If you're listening, I definitely put her on the spot. So just tell a little bit about you to our audience. So here's one of the reasons we're introducing you. Listeners, you all know we're here because we know we're going to age. We're not going to get out of this one without doing that, but we're just about doing it better and living more fully. And Dexter struck me in about 2 minutes as a prime example of that. She is 75, if I'm 72, okay? And I don't know where I got that number. 72, and she's here doing Ironman Cozumel, but it's not her first. So Dexter, first, thanks for being here and doing this, letting me put you on the spot. And then which Ironman is this for you?
This is number 11.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. And when did you first start?
I did my first triathlon in 1983. I did my first Ironman in 1993. So it took me a while to get to the distance. And then I discovered I loved it. I loved the longer distance, more challenge.
Wow. So you've done 11 between 1990.
10, and
this will be 11. Okay. Between 93 and 2017. What is it about Ironman that keeps drawing you back?
I just enjoy the challenge. I did 3 Ironman between 93 and 95. And then my career changed, and I didn't do any till 2010. And then when I retired, and then I've just been doing them at every opportunity.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think for a lot of listeners, Ironman is something, and let's just say exercise period. Time is a big constraint for people. So I'm gathering potentially that was it. Time was an obstacle for you?
Time became an obstacle. And to do an Ironman, you need to do all 3 sports, and you need to do a lot of all 3 sports. And during that time, I still ran. I did not bike that much, and I didn't swim that much during that period of time that I didn't do races. And I did do running races at that point.
Fantastic. So as I'm sitting here face to face with you in this, we're in a bar, believe it or not, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Nobody else is here, just saying, and I have water in front of me. So listeners, don't panic out there. But Dexter has a face for video or TV, not for radio or podcasting. She's just beautiful and radiant. And I have to say that might be a piece of training or joy, or what's your feeling about that?
Well, I don't know about the beauty part, but I do enjoy what I do.
Trust me, I'm never wrong.
No. And, I just like to have fun, and this is fun for me.
Fantastic. So all of you listening, I'm going to link to Dexter's Facebook page because I want you to see her and just you'll experience that radiance yourself, but also the inspiration that I think that you are. So what kind of hopes and aspirations do you have for this race or for any going into them?
I like to finish. I'm not fast. I have never been fast. And I think that's one of the reasons I like the longer races. My sports gift or the thing that I enjoy is the distance. I'm much better at endurance than speed. And so for me, I can hang out there for the full 17 hours and hopefully get there before they say it's too late and don't make a DNF. I did not finish.
Another sister who gets her money's worth. I like that.
I do get my money's worth. And so my aspirations going into every race is to finish. This race, I'm hoping that I finish ahead of the other gal that's in my age group and that I can qualify to go back to the World Championship in Kona.
Exciting. And you were there.
I was there.
This year?
I was there this year.
Prior to that, because that's one of the pictures I love on your Facebook page.
Yes. This year was my 5th time I qualified to go to Kona. So and I did have an unfortunate day and did not finish in Kona. And so I'm hoping I can finish here and go back next year.
Tell me about that. So you're training for a race in months, building up and looking forward to the goal. And then you have a DNF, did not finish. And I know that's like a black mark next to, a triathlete.
Black mark, yes.
What happens at that moment when you're in the middle of a race and realize you're not crossing the finish line?
It was very difficult. I had a good swim and my bike started out really well. Let me back up a little bit. The swim there started about an hour after the pros. I think it was like technically 50 minutes, but it seemed like an hour. So the pros men went, the pro women went, the men went, and they held the women back. They do it that way so they don't all jam up on the bike. And
just so you know, I was there with you. So It was pouring rain in Des Moines, Iowa, where I was traveling. I was on a trainer in a hotel room watching.
That's painful. Oh, dear. But the time I got out there, the wind in the afternoon picks up more. When I have done the race previously, I have had and I anticipate 30 or 40 miles of headwinds, and which slow you down immensely. And this year, it seemed like I had 60 miles of headwinds. The bike took me almost an hour longer than it has in the past. And so when I got off the bike, I made the bike cut off. So I was not, my bike wasn't bad. My run, I knew was weak. And when I got to about the 5-mile mark, I knew that I was not going to have a 5-hour marathon this year. And I said, okay, I started the run. I could try to finish, but I just don't have it in me. So I thought, I'm going to Cozumel. And so as soon as I finished, I'd start looking up, see if they still had spots available, and entered, and here I am.
So it was a conscious decision? It
was a conscious decision. I knew that if I had gone another 5 hours, that it would have been hard to recover. My recovery is pretty good, but I just knew that I did not have that in me and be able to come back here. So.
Wow, that is really being a smart athlete. And so just for listeners, I want to make sure that you understand the cutoff that Dexter's referring to is, for the swim, you have 2 hours and 20 minutes to finish the swim. And if you're not done, they're just projecting that you won't do well in the rest of the race. And then likewise, there's a cutoff for the bike from the starting time to the end of your bike. And so you've got to make both those cutoffs to be able to start the run. So, smart decision and hard one for an athlete to make,
especially at the World Championship.
And you're 8-9 hours into it to think clearly about what's best for me.
Yeah.
That's tough. Wow.
It was very hard, and there are times that I think I should have tried, but then I'm here now, and I'm ready to go again. My run has been a little weak. I sprained my ankle earlier in the year, and probably 2 weeks before a race, and I thought, I'm just going to do it. So I kind of limped through that race, and my run has been not as strong as I would like it to be, but it's healed now, and I'm ready to go.
Well, and that was my next question. So 75, we're going to talk a little bit about recovery. So many of you listeners know, if you've read You Still Got It, Girl, it's not the work and the work ethic or the work intensity as we age, that changes as much as the recovery time between can change. From one athlete's, when I was younger, this is what I needed, versus my older, this is what I needed. Now, talk a little bit about what have you noticed? So when you first started triathlon, that first Ironman, and as you were going through that, your recovery time then versus now, what are you noticing?
Well, my first Ironman, I was in my 40s, and I didn't even really think about recovery. I was just like, oh, hey, we went out and we played, and now we're going to go play again. As I aged, my recovery took longer. When I started back doing triathlons again in 2010, I noticed that after a full Ironman race, I was pretty much a couch potato for a week. I did not have a good recovery. I didn't want to exercise. My bike just sat there and waited for me. There was just I just needed to rest. And then in 2015, I attempted to do the Ironman Coeur d'Alene. And this is going to sound like I DNF a lot, but I don't. In 2015, Coeur d'Alene, we ended up having a heat wave. And coming out of the water, I broke my toe, lost a toenail. And so in the first transition, and I got on my bike and I thought, I'll be fine. I have the whole bike ride, 112 miles for it to get better, because it's not broken. It just hurts.
Only denial there, yes, a little bit.
Right? Bit. It turned out it was a very hot day, extremely hot day. I did finish the bike. I went to change my shoes and noticed that, my toe was pretty ugly, but I was going to attempt the run. And I got 13 miles into the run, was starting to stagger a little bit, and a friend of mine who I live near Coeur d'Alene was there, and she told me that I did not look good. And I said, no, I'm fine. She went a mile ahead and waited, and I came to her, and she said, you're not doing good. I think you're done. I said, no, I'm fine. Well, a couple miles later, I surrendered, and I ran 13 miles of the run with a broken toe, and I got in her car, and the temperature at that time of day, which was now 9 o'clock at night, it was 109 degrees.
Oh, my goodness.
So I thought, okay, it is hot. It's not just me. Anyway, I got done. I went into the gym to talk to my coach, and he said, you did all this training. It's such a shame you didn't finish. And I said, oh, I know. And I was really feeling bad. And he says, well, do you think you want to do another race? And I said, of course I do. And we looked at Boulder. I said, I just need like a week to recover. He handed me a product, and I started to take the product, which is Asea. And
let's spell that.
Asea.
Okay.
Asea. And I started taking the product. It's a redox supplement that helps with cellular regeneration. And I'm not a scientist.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah. I'm not a scientist, but it worked wonders for me. I started taking it. I think it was 5 or 6 weeks later, I went to Boulder, Colorado, and did the Ironman there. Won my age group and qualified again for the World Championship. So I was like sucked into this product, and this works. And
recovered better after that race?
Oh, yeah. My husband could not believe it, because I had only been on it for maybe 6 weeks. I don't remember now the time frame between those two races, but I know it was fairly close.
And let's just, for listeners and for everybody else, so You've done so well with this. They are now a sponsor.
Yes.
I mean, how cool is that to be 75 and an athlete with a sponsor? 72. I don't know where I get the number. Yeah. 72 with a sponsor. That's awesome.
That's something I never, ever dreamed about. I never dreamed about it. But the fellow at the gym, my coach at the gym, had told me about the product, and he said, well, you really ought to apply for their sponsorship. And I said, okay, I'll do that, thinking, yeah, right, they want this old woman. And yet they were very excited because I am older and it has helped me so much that it gives hope to other older people. They also have a couple Olympic swimmers and, amazing people that are...
You're in good company.
Yeah, that are also sponsored, which made me feel like, wow, But I use the product every day. It really helps me recover. I use it between my swim and my bike when I'm training. I usually swim first, and between my bike and my run or whatever I'm doing every day, I use it, and it's really helped with my recovery. And I really believe that it's enabled me to keep going. But this isn't a commercial, but that's kind of my passion too. Is this?
The authentic kind of organic commercial, I think, very acceptable.
Yeah.
What about the rest of your nutrition? Has that changed over the years? Do you do anything that someone would say, oh, that's unique to you, or found what works?
No, I've been an athlete for most of my life, so I try to eat healthy. I like ice cream, but that my husband would say was probably my worst vice. I usually eat pretty clean. I try to make sure that I have a balanced diet and don't skip meals. That was one of the things that for a while I got into skipping meals. I'd gotten a little bit overweight and realized that it was because I was skipping meals.
Right.
Demanding a lot of my body.
Okay, hold on. Let's just restate that for listeners.
Oh.
So, right? So the connection was gotten a little overweight because I was skipping meals.
Yes.
Huge. Thank you for saying that.
And it was very hard because I've always calories in, calories out. And
Intuition.
If
Yeah.
I eat less calories, I will lose this weight. And so I was eating less and making big demands on my body.
Can I ask, how old were you when you were noticing that? Where was that period?
It was before I retired, and then first after I started training is when I think the weight came on.
Got it.
So we're going back to about 2010.
Okay.
So, I was 65?
Yep. Perfect.
And I was thinking, well, I've got to get rid of this weight because I'm going to do these athletic events. And I thought, well, okay, less calories. And
the message to your body is burn less.
Yes. So I had made myself become so efficient that I actually went on a 100-mile bike ride, and all I had was water. I had lots of water. I didn't have any energy gels. I didn't have any food, which was a huge mistake. It was probably a rookie huge mistake, and I wasn't a rookie. I was frustrated with being overweight, and I managed it because I had trained my body to be that efficient.
And yet my guess is if you remember that specific ride, your recovery from that was not good.
And, it was not good. And so actually what happened is I was riding with friends, and when we were putting our bikes away, I actually blacked out.
Ooh.
And this friend of mine, who actually was the same friend that rescued me from the Ironman in 2015, was there and started throwing sandwiches at me. Eat this. I'm going, oh, okay. But the recovery was not good. That was, so through talking with a nutritionist and so forth, they said, you've got to eat more, you've got to eat more. And of course, the anticipated thing that they had explained to me that, yes, when you start eating more, and always I was eating well, just not enough.
Right.
And that's kind of
I'm going to catch that too for listeners. So that's a red flag to me as a trainer and coach when I first hear someone say, I eat fine, I eat healthy, I have that one down, I just need help with exercise. Quite often you do eat healthy. Everything you put in is healthy, but it may not be enough.
Yes.
And that's the mistake 90% of women make. It's not that you're eating too much, it's that you're eating too little. So hence the exercise less, but with purpose, and
Yes.
eat more of the right things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as anticipated, which was very hard for me, is that I knew that once I started eating more, I was going to gain weight. And I was just going to have to accept it until my body said,
temporarily.
Oh, yes. It was temporary.
Yep.
And I would say probably about 6 months that I gained weight. And I don't remember now how much, because I was absolutely like, I'm going to do this until the weight starts dropping. And yes, I did gain weight, but I have a little app on my phone, and I put in what exercise I do, and I know that I have to eat very close to that amount of calories, healthy calories, and that's what I started doing. And
fantastic.
Eventually the weight started coming. It worked.
Listeners, I want to tell you that I did not plant this person here. I totally expected to do an inspirational, yes, you can do this, and this couldn't be any better. It's a great lesson, and we all need to hear it, and I include myself. We have what I call habit gravity. And even though logically, okay, this makes sense. I need more calories to do this amount of work, and my body is getting a message to shut down and slow metabolism if I eat less. When you go to order or you go to fill your grocery cart, it's so easy to get that old mentality back and put it to work.
Absolutely, and I know we hadn't even talked about this before.
No, I know. Okay, good. So she's giving me a get out of jail card here.
It definitely came about that way, and it was a shock to me, a total shock to me, because I'm thinking calories in, calories out. I'm 72, and I think I've heard that since I was a teenager.
Right.
So it runs pretty deep.
So true. Oh, yeah. Let's dive into the flip side. So, that alone, that was a big nugget. I could leave it right here, and this would be a rich broadcast. However, what about the people out there who are thinking, this is crazy. There's no way I could ever do that. Talk to me a little bit about, what would you say to somebody who's thinking that? Triathlon, are you crazy? Ironman, are you nuts?
Yeah, well, I think for me, I've always enjoyed having fun. I've always been the one that's, let's have some fun. Let's go do something fun. I was raised in a unique situation. I was raised in a big city, Los Angeles, and yet my parents had a riding stable, which people think of a riding stable. It was just kind of this little small pocket of nature. And so I was raised in a big city, but love nature. And so I've always been acceptable to things being different, to not being the norm.
Okay, let's just pause right there, because I'm so amazed by your name. I love it. But when I first met Dexter, I was like, is that her last name? Like, is she asking me to call her by her last name? And I'm thinking 72. And her parents had that fortitude, I'll call it, because I love that name. It's a strong and unique name. It says something to me. And, you don't probably or didn't probably run into very many other first graders
no,
by that name.
At this point, at 72 years, I have yet to meet another female Dexter. So there are, a lot of football players named Dexter.
True.
I'm not a football player by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, so just being, I guess I was grown up a little different.
Yeah.
And accepted that the opposites being two of the same coin. I also was a Teamster truck driver, was my career, and I was the only woman, and I insisted that I was not going to be one of the men. I tried very hard to be a lady, And some of the clerks that we would run into used to call me the rose among the thorns. I'm okay with being a little different. Mm-hmm. And I guess we're getting off track from the question.
And maybe not. And yet maybe not.
So, but that's kind of where I came from. It's okay to be different. And so when I wanted to do Ironman or do triathlons, there were not very many women doing them. Mm-hmm. My first one, I was actually third woman overall, even though I was dead last. So it was okay that I was dead last. Gosh, I was third woman overall, and not very many people can say that now because there's almost as many women as there are men doing it.
It's true. Those poor women in the 35 to 45 age groups.
Yes.
They're never going to outgrow it, right?
No, they're not. Because when I did the World Championship in 1993, there were 20 women in the 45-49 age group. Mm-hmm. And now there are probably at least 200 or more in that age group. However, when I went back to the World Championship in 2015, there were in the 70-74 age group, there were 7 women. And 4 of them I had raced with back in 1993.
Oh my goodness.
So the same women that you're racing today, you're going to be racing against them in 30 years. They're still going to be there because people always look at the older age groups and they say, oh wow, when I get up there, there'll only be 2 in my age group. No, there's going to be the same ones you race with now.
And okay, so let's talk about that because you don't quit. There's something addicting, if we can use that word, about it.
It's
the lifestyle.
Addiction. It's a good addiction.
What is that? I mean, is there any fear that you'll stop, or what would happen if you stopped?
I don't think I will ever stop. I don't anticipate that. We don't know the future. But I know, and I have talked to my husband about this. I have said, he's asked me, well, people always ask him, why is she still doing that? When's she going to quit? And I tell him that I will probably get to a stage where I'm not able to do a full Ironman, but I will, by gosh, be doing half Ironmans. And when I get to a point that I can no longer do half Ironmans, I will probably do Olympic distance. And maybe even when it gets to the point where I can only do a sprint, then I will only be doing a sprint. I feel this now. You just don't know what the future has. Mm-hmm. But it's such a joy. To me, the training is going out to play every day. And the race is a celebration. And that's just the way I feel about it.
What a beautiful quote. I love that. 2 questions as you were just talking. One, so you said your husband asked you. So I know for a lot of women, sometimes in the same household, whether it's children and or it's a spouse, there can be resistance to change or resistance to doing something if that other person in the household isn't on the bandwagon. So where's your husband? And as far as, is he involved in exercise, health himself, and or how does he support you? And how do you two work that out?
He is also a bit of a competitor. He is not healthy. He's had a quadruple bypass. He has had a hip replacement. His passion is motorcycles. He has he is going to be 77 this year. And he is building a land speed motorcycle and is very passionate about that. So he's very occupied working on that bike. He does not ride it anymore. He had an incident in his 70s where he went down and broke all the fingers in his hand. He crashed going like almost 200 miles an hour. I don't know. It was ugly. But he doesn't have the dexterity now. So he just builds them. He does not ride them. And he's totally supportive of me. He understands my passion, and he doesn't like to travel. So he says, go, have fun, have an awesome time. Just give me a call occasionally so I'll know how you're doing. And when I leave to go train in the morning, he says, okay, see you this evening. He's just totally acceptable of it. And in a way, we both have our own passions and our own interests. Mm-hmm. And we are also, and this goes into a whole other area, but we also are sort of newlyweds. We got married in 2010 when I retired. He actually
congratulations.
Talked me into retiring. And I don't know if I dare go there, but I'm going to, because people that know me know this. He was actually my first husband and the father of my children. We divorced and didn't see each other for like 30 years.
I have chills.
And then we remarried, and so we have this longing, respect for each other, where we've been on our journeys, and how we came back together is pretty amazing. And so he's extremely supportive of me, and I am extremely supportive of him. So
I've gotten 2 nuggets here that I didn't count on, lady. Okay. My next question was, so as an older athlete and somebody who is breaking new ground and inspiring others, you probably are very familiar with Sister Madonna Booter, who has opened up so many age groups for women. So if I'm not correct, she's in her, late 80s?
She's in her late 80s, yes. I believe she's 86 or 87.
So you have a lot of good years left, right?
I'm hoping so. Well, actually, Sister Madonna Bruder lives in Spokane, and I'm in Coeur d'Alene, and we have raced together. She is now, and maybe she is my inspiration for, at some point, I may be just doing sprint triathlons. And this spring, we actually did a sprint triathlon together, and she was the age group in the sprint, because it was a small local race, was 70 and over. And so the two of us shared the podium together, and it was pretty awesome. We have also done a few interviews together for luncheons and things like that, because people know that we're both the 2 senior triathletes in the area. And at one point, she looked at me and she told me, she said, okay, you're young and you're healthy. You go ahead and break the next age group. So she kind of tossed down the gauntlet for me. And I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to. It would be pretty awesome. Of course, there may be, I'm sure I know there are a lot of those 5 women that I've been racing with for 30-some years will still be there, but it would be fun if I could break an age group and be the first one.
Fantastic. Okay. So the hardest question of our podcast, I always say for last, is there a question that you wish I would have asked you?
Oh, boy. No, I don't think so. I guess I kind of got us off track, and I apologize for that.
Oh, no, please. So, they were all paths that I would have not known to ask about. And if you are listening, we have a little background noise because literally we are in Cozumel and we are in the lobby of one of our hotels. So if you're hearing a little laughter, that is why. Any last parting words?
No, I think just enjoy life. And, I'll tell you a parting word. I'll give you my favorite quote. Don't let what you can't do keep you from what you can do.
Love that. Love that. Thanks so much. And listeners, if you have a question that I didn't ask Dexter, please insert it below the show notes at flipping50.com/podcast. I'm going to try to actually get this edited and posted as soon as possible. So this should be late November in 2017 as you're listening to it live when we recorded, live recording, but go to the show notes at flipping50.com/podcast for the links. And I will link you to Dexter to her Facebook page, as well as to the product and the resource she talked about that she's taking for recovery. So thanks so much. What are you waiting for? Let's start flipping 50 together.